right, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of EMU Today TV. My name is Marquez Lee. I'm your host. It's hard to believe. I think we're pretty close to wrapping up our eighth season. That's hard to believe. 8 years of doing this. It's awesome to do it. We want you to sit back and relax and enjoy the conversation that we have each and every single month. And we talk about the things that are happening on the great campus of my alma mater, Eastern Michigan University, amongst others. It's just a great program. So I got three very special guests. We're going to be talking about a very important program, the Undergraduate Symposium that recently took place. And I'm very pleased to welcome Ms. Harriet Lindsay. She's the Undergrad Symposium Event Chair, Professor, Department Head of Chemistry. Amy Behringer, Undergrad Symposium Event Coordinator, Lecturer in the School of Communication, Media, and Theater Arts. And Jesse John, Undergraduate Symposium Student Host and Presenter, a Psychology major at EMU. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Good. And Harriet, let me start with you. You're the event chair, and this event just took place recently, I believe, this past Friday, 4 days ago. Just kind of talk to us briefly about the symposium. This symposium, please kind of give us an overview.
Mark, this is really a culmination of a year or more of work that our students do in collaboration with a faculty mentor. And so the presentations that were on display on Friday are either oral presentations or poster presentations, sort of think science fair kind of thing, although they can be from all disciplines. And also we have what we call a design expo, which is sort of artistic types of displays, built environments, engineering models, that kind of thing. But sort of the important point to know about this is while it's a one-day event, the process of collaboration between undergraduates and their faculty mentors continues year-round.
Yeah, and Amy, to come over to you, there's a lot of work that takes place in this, right? In terms of making it happen. For those who may not be aware of a symposium. Again, this program goes to all of our alumni, all of our student base and beyond, kind of giving them an overview of the expectations exactly. I mean, Harriet chatted about it and gave us an overview, but what exactly when the word symposium, to somebody who's not aware, what does that mean to people?
That's great. It's a celebration, is how we like to see it. And truthfully, what we do is we take over the student center for an entire day, and we have students from every single college. There's 5 colleges here at EMU who are represented. And it is a year-long process to plan such an event. I typically joke it's almost like planning a wedding for 500 people, but every guest has a unique need. So there's multiple layers and plans and processes, but on the actual day, it's a celebration. It's a place for those affiliated with EMU to be prideful and to highlight the different things that are going on in all the nooks and crannies and all the different departments. But it's also a day of dialogue, engagement, community conversation. And one of the things that's so important about this for undergraduates is it is a culminating experience, and we are working on these things that will take them into their next adventure, whether that's another step in higher education or in career. But we're also just thinking about the human future and what that looks like and what impact they may be having. So it's a collection of ideas, it's desired outcomes, it's curiosity, and all of that is on display on the day of. And so while it is an annual event and it's something we look forward to each year, it's a different and unique and purposeful event each year. And that's why we're always so thrilled to have it.
I understand it's the 45th year, is that right?
That's correct. We started in
Is it
1981.
now, contrary to what Amy might believe, we were having a conversation before we started. I actually was a student at EMU
Mhm.
about the first year that the program started.
Mhm.
So is this the longest running? Does anybody else do this across the state of Michigan, or is EMU is this unique to Eastern?
We so in 1981, we declared that we were the first event of its kind, and the main organization that would track that actually did not exist in 1981. And so we are fairly confident that we are, especially considering that we've had a lot of peer institutions copy our format. And so we're pretty confident that we were one of, if not the first, to have this type of event structured in the way that it is.
And Jesse, before I engage you, I want to come back over to Harriet and talk about that structure. It's my understanding 121 oral and 90 poster presentations. Is that right? So again, for those tuning in and they're saying, okay, oral presentations and poster presentations, kind of give us the example of what do people actually stand up in front of the room and give an oral presentation that's 10 minutes on a specific topic, or kind of talk us through that, Harriet, if you could.
That's exactly what they do. And so it's sort of a part conference, part showcase.
Yeah.
So students have been working on, maybe a class project that a professor encouraged them to continue on and do some work on outside of the class. Perhaps there's been a particular art project that they've been working on that they're able to take to the next level. Or maybe they've been working in the research lab for the past year, trying to get a set of experiments to work that go toward testing a particular hypothesis. So what the students do is yes, exactly. They stand up in front of a group. Perhaps this is their first public presentation. So it's an exciting time. The energy is palpable. So they stand up and they give background of their particular project, why they chose it, that kind of thing, and then they tell us sort of the process of
Yeah.
bringing it to life. For a scientist, it might be the kinds of experiments they did and the data that they gathered, or for others, it may be the research that they did from other sources and the conclusions they were able to draw. The same is true for poster presentations. There's just a room full of these 3 by 4 foot posters with students chatting with their peers, with faculty mentors. Again, there's just a buzz in the room as students are able to tell folks about what they've done. And in fact, Jessie was one of those students. So I'm sure she'd be glad to tell you a little about
Well,
how that felt from
and,
her perspective.
and Harry, that's a nice segue to Jesse. And Jesse, I understand you are a student host and you are a presenter and you're a psychology major. Before we engage, you just tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from, and what brought you to EMU?
Sure, sure. So I am born and raised like Metro Detroit area. I'm from Macomb, so I have deep roots here in Southeast Michigan. So Eastern felt like a really natural choice, where I'm still staying close to my roots, but also just branching out a little. I love the psychology program here. I've got that psych major, like you mentioned, but also minors in women and gender studies and human sexuality.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Eastern has been a wonderful, wonderful experience, and that a lot of that is attributable to the Undergraduate Symposium. I'm a three-time presenter. I've done two posters and one oral presentation, as well as being the MC this year. So I've really
Right.
been involved in all the different facets.
And so, talk about from a student perspective. You are the MC, you are a presenter. Talk about the experience. I mean, what did it take for you to get engaged and get involved with it? Talk about the experience and why it was beneficial to you as well as the other students engaged.
Sure, sure. So as Dr. Lindsay was mentioning, for a lot of us, like the undergraduate symposium is the first time that we're presenting research. It's this very kind of big, daunting thing. When folks say that they do research, it's this big, ominous kind
Yes,
of
I mean, already
in
I'm
their
thinking
reach.
research.
Right, right. But it can look so many different ways, and it's all about what you put into it. So it's so nice to have that safe space to, go out and try it for the first time, figure out if you like it, connect with your peers, see what they're doing. It's just this nice open platform that you can really, use to, benefit you, get used to research, and just explore.
So when you talk about the research, let's talk about again from your perspective. Now, did you present at the most recent event where you one of the presenters as well?
Yes.
That's it. Okay. So talk to us about what you presented on the topic and how did you land in that particular area? So in other words, was this like, for example, a class project that your professor assigned you, or is it something that you came up with independently? And then talk about that process.
Sure. So most recently, I presented on period poverty and its implications for institutions of higher education, so universities, colleges. And that project is very near and dear to my heart because it's a culmination of my experience working with and leading EMU Changing the Cycle, which is an organization here on campus dedicated to ending period poverty. For the first 2 years of my college experience, I was helping out as a volunteer, and then I became lead for the project. And I'm very excited to say that now it's an initiative that'll be funded by the university.
Wow.
This was a kind of a big reflecting moment for me to talk a little bit more about the program, where it came from and what it's become, and compare it to other things of that nature throughout the country.
Amy, as I was talking to Jesse, I noticed even when I was asking about the program, you applauded a couple times, not even as it relates to her presentation, but as she was giving her perspective. Why were you applauding? What's the feel good moment for you? Certainly as the event coordinator, why were you applauding? What made you feel so good hearing her talk?
There are so many things. One is the journey, right? And so having Jessie be a three-time presenter, we were familiar a little bit with the growth, right? And kind of moving through different opportunities, actually shifting departments, right? Or faculty mentors a little bit. So the growth is so important. But to have a student that is so engaged and to leave a lasting impact, I verbalized it this way. I don't know that Jessie would, but like a legacy on campus that will impact students for years to come, and to have that cultivated into an academic experience and to kind of have it all weave together is one of my favorite things, because we see student self-efficacy, self-esteem, but also advocacy. And it just puts together the puzzle pieces for me, both as an educator and as somebody who facilitates this event, to really see the full EMU experience. And I'm just so proud of them. Maybe it's the mom in me, but I just feel like it's so much to just prioritize things these days, and to prioritize yourself and your academic journey and your future, but to also leave that lasting impact here on campus is one of my favorite things about the symposium. Because truthfully, typically, students do have something else that's rooting them. It's not just one presentation or one project. As Harriet said, they're in a lab, they're working, they're getting networking opportunities, they have different internships or whatever it may be. So just the roots that set in are make me very prideful, but also makes me very excited for these students and where they're headed and what we've helped them cultivate.
Harriet, we have about a minute before we take a break, and I'll give you a chance to get a final word in terms of this segment. You heard Amy's perspective as the event chair, giving your perspective of the enthusiasm, the excitement, and why this is important for the university.
Yeah, absolutely, I will. And you know what? I guess I'd like to sort of go back to Jessie's speech on Friday, which I thought was incredibly moving. You know, she really spoke of research and creative projects with faculty as community, as a village. And so I love that metaphor, because that's exactly right. You know, when you think of research, you may think of a scientist toiling away in a lab all by themselves, but that is farthest from the truth. These kinds of experiences build community and build long-lasting relationships between students and faculty for many, many years after students have left. So I think that really is one of the lasting legacies of the symposium. And one of the reasons we as faculty do this is we love, love, love the relationships with our mentees, with our research students. And so it's days like Friday that just put on display why we do what we do here at EMU.
Well, what we're going to do is to take a quick break and show you firsthand the symposium. You hear the excitement in the voices, you see the excitement in their faces. We're going to give you a firsthand look at the symposium and what that level of excitement that was here just recently. So sit back and relax. And when we come back from this video, we're going to continue the conversation on just a very important initiative for Eastern Michigan University. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
My name is Amy Behringer, and I am the event coordinator for the Undergraduate Symposium here at Eastern Michigan University. We are celebrating student undergraduate research and creative projects today. We are really pleased this year to feature over 270 unique students, and we welcome students from all 5 EMU colleges. We have oral presentations, poster sessions, and the Crossing Lines Design Expo. And it's truly one of the best highlights of undergraduate activity, motivation, engagement, and purpose here at Eastern.
having students work side by side as undergraduates with folks who do what they are doing for love of knowledge. And I can say it is rare that undergraduates get this opportunity.
So I'd ask you, whatever you do, make public service not just a line of work, but a way of life. Because there are so many ways to serve.
All right, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video. I mean, this is just an awesome conversation. The undergraduate symposium here at EMU. EMU, has great things going on this campus, and I'm proud that we get a chance to highlight this every month. And certainly we have three wonderful individuals here to talk about the symposium. So Jesse, I want to come back over to you. You heard Harriet and you heard Amy talk about their level of enthusiasm. Certainly at watching you present, it's your third time doing it. I wanted you to share with the audience the benefits of working with other students and also working with professors and your mentors. We know there's a perception sometimes students feel overwhelmed by the educational experience. They feel overwhelmed by the professors, but talk about the relationship with the staff, with the professors, and how it's really impacted you as part of this.
I have presented 3 times, but also with 3 different people. So I've had a different mentor each year, which has really kind of shown me some different dynamics of, hands-on versus hands-off, or like the level of communication based on project need. So there's such a wide array of different models of mentorship. So finding something that works for both the mentor and the mentee is super important. And I think the Undergraduate Symposium is a great way to do that. I also think it's a great way to, look at other folks' research and be like, well, I want to be doing that. You look at the little line where the faculty mentor is, you reach out to that person, and it's a huge, an open gateway for you to get involved in that way too.
So when we say a mentor, just for point of clarification, so you have a faculty mentor or another student mentor, kind of clarify whom the mentor is.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. So I've had 3 different faculty mentors for the Undergraduate Symposium. I don't think officially had other student mentors. I've helped on other poster projects and other things outside of this. But my work for the symposium for my own projects has been largely individual.
Amy, come back over to you. How do you identify the faculty members? How do you identify staff and faculty? And when you approach them or they approach you, what is their reaction in terms of receiving an invitation to become a mentor to Jesse, for example?
So it's multiple pathways, I guess I could say. So a lot of these students and faculty meet in the classroom, and that's where those relationships develop. And again, as Harriet mentioned, perhaps they were working on a project and a faculty says, wow, this is outstanding. If we just add a little bit of this and a little bit of that, this could be a research project, or let's go do some interviews. Let's get some IRB approval and set this up and really see, what your hypothesis how that will pan out. And so a lot of it is in the classroom, but from time to time, we do have students who reach out to me actually pretty consistently and say, I went to the symposium. I want to do this. Where do I start? And so we just start with the departments. I try to strike up relationships with as many departments as possible across all 5 colleges to know who the best point of contact is, and start cultivating conversations, look and see who's working on what. We also have a new kind of upstarting thing that we're working on, which is going to be a virtual platform where students and faculty will have pages and they can kind of connect and see what everyone's doing. And hopefully we'll encourage a little bit of interdisciplinary work on there as well. So there's all kinds of different pathways, but typically if we have a student and a faculty who are interested in working together, we lean into that faculty mentors, purpose and engagement or motivation, and we encourage that. So we don't, from the symposium event coordination angle, we don't say, well, this faculty is a mentor and this one is not. We simply welcome those partnerships and help cultivate them as needed.
So Harriet, I'll come back over to you. Let's talk about the evolution of this symposium over 45 years. And what I mean by that is, obviously it started a certain way. And here we are in 2025. We just completed the 45th one. So talk about the evolution and some of the changes that have occurred in the most recent years. And then from your perspective as the chair, which way do you want to see it going moving forward?
Early on, the symposium consisted only of oral presentations, and then shortly thereafter, posters were added, and it continued on that way. And Amy, you're going to have to help me out on the date
Mhm.
here until not quite 10 years ago when the design.
Actually, our first year with Design Expo was 2012.
2012. So over 10 years ago, the Design Expo was added. And so this is the portion of the symposium that is really sort of a gallery. It's a gallery again for engineering kinds of projects, for artwork, all kinds of creative activity and sort of made things. And that was just an incredible advance. There are very few, I would imagine, symposia in the country that feature that. So that's really something that we excel at. Another very, very important addition was some years ago, and I'm gonna say about 20 years ago. I apologize for not knowing the timeline
That's okay. That's
exactly.
fine.
We added what are known as Symposium Undergraduate Research Fellows. So these are scholarships that are available to undergrads to partner with faculty mentors. So they actually get a little bit of financial assistance to do their research. And so our hope is students will be able to devote some time to the work rather than having to work an extra 10 or 15 hours at a job. And so that's been a fantastic success. We have quite a legacy of serfs, as we affectionately call them, who present each year. I would love to see us continue in that direction. And really, our goal is to grow the symposium. A few years ago, I heard a dean say that a goal should be to get every student at EMU to present at the symposium. And that is a lofty goal, but there's no reason why that actually can't be a goal, and we can strive toward that.
And let's talk about that. So how would you characterize the students who are currently presenting? What are characteristics that you certainly take note of as you see them presenting?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. So students need to be curious, I think. They need to have some motivation and to want to answer questions. So it really is about curiosity. Students don't have to be straight A students to do this work.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's the students who, maybe aren't the best test takers who are the best sort of researchers or creative minds. These kinds of out of class experiences really give students the chance to reflect on things they've learned and bounce ideas off of their faculty mentors and sometimes off of other students. So it really is kind of a different learning experience than taking a test or even, writing a paper with defined prompts. It allows students to really express themselves in ways that are not available in the classroom. So I think for students who are interested in doing that, this is exactly the kind of work that they should seek out, and we should encourage them to do.
And Jesse, I want to come back over to you as a student, and you're talking to other students right now who are tuning in. And what would you tell those individuals? I'm hesitant about presenting. My professor wants me to stand up and give a group presentation. I'm not comfortable standing in front of a room. What do you tell those individuals? I mean, you hear what Dr. Lindsay is saying about being curious and doing X, Y, and Z. So talk from your perspective, Jesse. What would you tell those individuals who may want to do this, but there's a sense of trepidation, of fear of doing this? What do you tell them?
I would tell them that the first step is the hardest and that it gets easier the more you do it. So it's definitely a matter of, being brave, taking that first step and knowing that, even if you say the wrong thing or get a little, jumbled up, that, the folks in the audience, the folks watching you, like they have your back. They're there to support you. That's why, they came to the event. That's why they're attending your presentation. So,
Amy, and again, I want to clarify, is this a competition or is this more so people getting up and giving their oral presentations? And do they get the opportunity of winning something? Is there any type of incentive or an award? Kind of talk us through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually get that question a lot. Is the symposium like juried in a way? How do we filter these things? So for us, we do have a process, right? So from November to January, students will submit an abstract for review. It must be approved by their faculty mentor before submitting, which is a nice way for us to know we're really kind of getting prepared, ready to go projects. And so we have a committee from each one faculty person from each department, which will help us review and edit, and we kind of send back and get them into tip-top shape. And then we welcome students in that way. In terms of actual day of competition, we do not have that. We feature everybody. And one of the main reasons that I feel so passionately about that is because there are so many different ways that we define what is research, what is a creative project. There are people coming from so many different areas with so many different levels of experience that we want to make sure everybody feels like they're in the spotlight day of. But benefits, I mean, how much time do you have? So we have something called Learning Beyond the Classroom credit through our general education department here at Eastern. All of the students receive LBC6, and students, if you're watching, you know what that means. Additionally, we have scholarship opportunities for both undergrad and graduate students. So if you are a participant, you are automatically kind of woven into those opportunities, and you can apply for scholarships post-event. Additionally, on top of that, Michigan State University hosts a conference called Midshore every summer. And they welcome our students to present there. And truthfully, they don't really need to apply. They just need to let them know they're coming. And it's a great way for them to continue to be featured. And Harriet also mentioned those SURF students. Those students also have an opportunity to reapply for that, dependent on funding. And so there's a lot of different benefits. And then just, maybe this again sounds a little hallmarky or cheesy, but I do think, again, that sense of pride and that collective kind of look at what we've done and look at the impact that we will have speaks volumes. On my end, we also make sure that we invite university community, surrounding community. If we know for sure that we have some influential folks, whether it's in media or organizations or at different corporations, and there are presentations that they need to see, we make sure that we invite them. So students also have had some opportunities there. A favorite year that I have, I actually did have a SURF student get offered an internship the day of the event. And so there's all kinds of perks and benefits that can come from participation.
As we begin to wrap up, I'm going to give Harriet the final word. I'll give you 30 to 45 seconds to say whatever you want to say as it relates to the symposium. Get the final word.
Okay. Yeah, so I really think for me, for someone who has worked with students, that the Undergraduate Symposium is the best day of the year at EMU. Now, commencement is also a fantastic day, but in terms of sort of showcasing fruits of labors, it is such a celebration that it is not to be missed. So for students watching, if you haven't attended, absolutely come. I think one of the great things about the event is, just as Amy said, we do offer incentives for students who are not presenting to come, and they can see what an amazing experience it is to participate in undergraduate research or a creative project, and then to have the experience of presenting at a symposium. So I think that's the final word for me. It really is the best day of the year.
Let me thank Amy and Harriet and Jesse for joining me on this edition of EMU Today TV. This was an awesome conversation, and congratulations to all three of you for your hard work and everything that you're doing. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. To all of you tuning in, hey, look, I know that we're fast approaching the end of the semester, and some of you are looking forward to graduation. I know we have another month, so you got to hang tight, continue going to those classes, including me. I'll be there, but continue going to your classes and finish your homework, because we know that you're right around the corner. Graduation is right around the corner. I want you to go out, make it a great day, make it a great week. We will check you out next time on EMU Today TV. Have a good day, everyone. Take care.